Well, welcome again to a new episode of the Vegas Dice Kings here with Danny Krepp. Danny, how are you?
I'm doing fine, patent pending.
We're trying something new. We got Jimmy Cheese that is doing a virtual thing. We're going to see how this works on down the road in case we have other clients that can't make it into the show. We would be glad. I see him squinting there. You look good, Jimmy. I don't see no planes above you, but everything's good. And,
the nice thing about Zooming, guys, is you don't need to wear pants.
Well, you don't need to wear pants. It's a
He
good
certainly
thing.
has a very large cigar,
You got
from what I've
something
been
there.
told.
Anyhow, I wanted to give a quick, a notation to some really good friends of mine. I've got Jack the Rabbit Man, and I got his wife, Sarah the Rabbit Boss. I just wanted to say hi to you lovely people. It's so good to see you when you come out here. I can't wait to hook up with you again and everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we're going to have a good show today. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Tropicana Hotel. That really had some headlines at times. So, Danny, what do you think?
Well, I do remember they used to call it the Tiffany of the Strip because
Absolutely.
of the fountains. But before we get into that, since Jimmy Cheese is way on the other side of town, why don't we let Jimmy Cheese explain his early development in gaming?
Absolutely. Jimmy,
Take it away, Cheese.
Thank you, guys. Listen, it was 1981. I know Patton had mentioned the wheel crank, which was a thing that they would send you out for. There's no such thing. But I had heard about it. So when they told me to look for a wheel crank, I left the California Club and I went to the Union Plaza and had breakfast. And I came back an hour and a half later. And I told my shift boss I couldn't find it. I looked all over town. The thing that was different back then, of course, there were no time clocks. You just signed a sheet. And we had our uniform was like a Western type outfit. The shirt was like a canvas, like a burlap sack. It was real itchy and I hated it. And one morning it was cold and, I've only been working there maybe about 2 weeks. And I had a brown turtleneck sweater at the house. So I thought, well, I'm going to put this on underneath because it's cold outside. It was winter. I go to work. I got this little brown turtleneck and this Western outfit. And the pit boss thought it looked real sharp. So he asked me if I had a driver's license. I said, yeah. And he gave me the keys to a limousine. And I had to take a Hawaiian couple to the airport. Now, a 24-year-old kid, I'm driving a stretch limo. And on the way back from the airport, I drove down Las Vegas Boulevard, just waving at people. I was like, this is great. But there was, you look back and you think how rogue everything was. They didn't worry about insurance. They didn't worry about, driving record. I mean, I could have been a total maniac, but it was just pretty much, just let it happen. And it worked out for the best. But, looking back, I see these young people at work now, and it's just a whole different, the money is still good, but the feel of the town is just so different. We used to be able to have fun with $100. Now you can't have lunch with 100. So anyway, but it was great times. I just wish some of the younger dealers could have experienced some of the things we went through. And the thing is, there's so many stories that we can tell, but not in this venue. That's why I'm always looking for somebody that's a writer or somebody that would like to take it to the next level and maybe do like a series of the different time periods throughout the decades of Las Vegas and all the different stories, because some are very sad, some are very inspiring. And when we think about the people we work with, from the bosses, the co-workers, to the celebrities, the sports figures, politicians, I mean, there is so many things we have to say that it's just too lengthy to put into a half-hour show, and it would be so much more enjoyable to actually see things as they were. So, if you have any ideas, guys?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's, my hat's off to the people that taught us. We had some of the greatest dealers in the world that I was around and got to learn from them. And I tell you, you're right. Now the kids now, they don't get that chance to do that. To where we did, where we had actually I had 60-year-old guys when I was in my 20s was telling me what to do and how to do it and how to handle the game. And I tell you, my hat's off to them gentlemen because they took me to where I'm at today, to where I wished I could teach the younger ones. But now the schools are different for these kids are popping out. It's not a hands-on like it used to be when we were there, table for table, which means 4 people go for their own tokes. It was a totally different thing than now. Now they go envelope, or not even envelope. They go on paycheck now.
Yeah.
Everything's on a paycheck, so
Paperless.
it's totally paperless.
Paperless. You don't even see the check.
No, you don't even see them. It's just automatically into your bank. I mean, before, you had the money in your pocket. So my hat's off to the older generation that actually taught us, that brought us where we're at today.
Oh,
So
there's no doubt. My dad said that his knowledge came from a guy that was recognized throughout gaming and all over wherever he learned it from back in the days. It was Alex Goldfine. Alex Goldfine taught my dad all about craps, number one, and all about attitude and how to keep yourself out of the trap, and also not to delve into bad habits. Stay away from cards and stay away from dice. Now, my dad did have a kind of an addiction to women. Thank goodness I didn't get that addiction. I love you, honey. I love you. I'll be home after this. But it's true. He learned and he taught me things. He even taught me things that how people were doing illegal scams on dice and things like that, just to be aware of it, not to actually practical application, but to know and have full knowledge. And of course, the kids today, hey, listen, it's not their fault, but they're not taught all that. They're not taught or designed to see when a situation is developing on the crap table that can turn ugly. Like the Cheese and myself and Patent Pending, we can spot things before they actually go down because we have the experience and the knowledge.
Well, it did us good when we were in the business as young guys coming up in this business. We were getting yelled at by the bosses all the time. At the time, we were like, man, why are they so hard on us? They just scream, yell, they kick you in the shins and everything. But it all made sense, does now. I said, it's just like when you were a kid, did something wrong when you were small, you got whooped. You got switch taken to you or whatever. But now you learn. Now these kids here, they don't want us really telling them what to do. It's just like, they run the game. So
I think a lot of it too is we learn how to read people. When somebody, it's kind of a mind-boggling thing for somebody that doesn't do this for a living. But when you think about it, we have to get people to like us. Then we have to get them to make a bet for us. And then we have to win the bet for our income. So, I mean, there's a lot of steps to how much money we make. And back in the day when you're cutting the tips 4 ways, you really had to put that all-out effort in. Whereas now it's not so much. But I see dealers now, they just deal and it's like a robot. There's no really interaction. But I look at people and I'll ask them, where they're from or what do they do. And, it's mind-boggling how many heart surgeons and we have a neurosurgeon that's a great player and a great guy. And they're all, just as friendly but it's fascinating when you see these people that went through, 13, 15 years of medical school asking us for advice. I'm like, really, I don't know a whole lot. I know, but I do know how to read people, and I admire people's talents. And I think when I talk to somebody, when I talk to a player, I really do appreciate what they've done. I consider what I've done nothing really. I was just extremely lucky. But I really, when I see somebody that's really accomplished and get their story, and I'm fascinated. I can get into conversations with players for hours. I have some players that we have exchange phone numbers, and they text me back and forth. Want to know how things are with the family and things like that. So, yeah, it's been a great ride. You know, I'm hoping to stop working maybe in a couple of years, a year and a half, and after 44 years of doing this, looking back, it was great. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of great stories that I think would be great to listen to or to watch. Yeah, I don't, I'm just grateful for this. The only caveat I have to doing this job, and for me being lucky and to get into Caesar's Palace after just 2.5 years of dealing, is the money was so good and it was such a good time that it actually stunted any need to want to better my education. You know, because friends of mine went to college and they did this and that, and they're really smart at this level. But
you're doing the same job they are.
Yeah, I know I had more fun in my job. I didn't have to go to as much schooling. But, now that I'm 65 years old, I'm like, oh, maybe I should have been a little bit smarter. But everything was just so fun and so easy that, but anyway, these are stories that I'd like to share.
Oh, stories are crazy.
Well, absolutely, Cheese, because it's not always that easy on a crap table. You have different degrees, like you said, of people. You got the people that are just plain miserable. You don't know what's been going on in their life. Maybe they're, degenerate gamblers of all forms. Maybe they've lost their wife, who knows what. And then, of course, it manifests themselves when they're playing craps. Some of them don't even enjoy it when they're getting some of their money back because it ain't enough. They're never going to get even. Like that old timer said to me when he started to win some money on a 20-minute roll. I said, hey, Mr. B, you're getting some money. You're looking good. He said, hey, kid, I'm not looking for the cheese. I'm looking to get out of the trap. And I always remembered that, saying, you don't know where I've been, kid, or where I've been through, so, don't lay it on too thick.
Did either of you guys tell stories about Kerry Packer?
We haven't got into that yet. I mean, there's so many. You sit there and you look at all the politicians, the kings, queens that we have dealt to over the years, people with mega money. I mean, mega. Kerry Packard was one of them. But, Khashoggi, you go on and on and on and on about these people. That's where all these great stories are going to come out at, because we've dealt to all of these guys. One time or another, we've been with them. So those will all come out.
Kerry Packer usually played blackjack or baccarat, but he wanted to learn dice one time, and he came over to my game with a $5,000 chip. And we taught him the basics, and he broke even. And when he left, he gave us the $5,000.
Sure.
And the story I heard about Packer was there was a guy playing one time that was very loudmouth, very arrogant, and Kerry Packer didn't care for him. And he went up to the guy and he said, how much money do you have? The guy said, about 10 million. Kerry Packer said, I'll flip you for it. And the guy just shut up. He didn't have a comeback for that. But I mean, here was a man that he was going to the show. I heard this story at the Hilton to see Elvis. And he had probably about 13 yellow chips, which are $1,000 chips. And there was a lady waiting in line in a wheelchair. And Packard just said, have a nice time at the show. And he dropped the chips in her lap. So he was just extremely generous man.
True story.
Yeah. True story. And we always used to salivate when he was in Caesar's Palace, hoping that he'd want to come over to the crap table. Like the Cheese said, he did come over and they taught him the basics, but he liked to play other games. And the other footnote, Mr. Cheese, was that he liked to see the bosses sweat. He loved to bust their cojones because they knew he had the money to hurt them bad.
He could outlast them. That's no doubt about it. He just hated them bosses. You could see him. boss come over there, and he'd just look at him, call him on over. He'd get up to him. Yes, sir. What can I do? Get the heck away from me. Get out of here now, just to see him squirm, you know. He loved that.
Oh, he did. He did. He wanted to see him sweat because he was a whale. That's what they called a whale.
That's a whale.
And he liked to have a whale of a time.
He did.
Believe me.
He did, yeah.
He was no Jonas.
There's so many of these stories with the different people that we have dealt to. It's just, it's an on and on and on and on thing. You know, I mean, you could just call these names all day long. But we got to start moving on a little bit about the Tropicana.
We do, but a quick footnote. I remember dealing to what do they call those doctors that check the females out? There's a name for them. Gynecologist. And I didn't know that men as gynecologists were a dying breed. It's mostly 99% women now, and that's something I didn't know, and that's deep.
I didn't know that either.
It's too late for me to change professions.
Yeah, Cheese. Stay a doctor of dysology with the minor in crapology, Cheese. And enjoy the backyard cigar that you're smoking, Cheese. Send up some smoke signals. There's a tribe just down the street.
There's a bunch of tribes. They're all coming into town, too, by the way.
They are.
Slowly but surely, they're getting here.
Do you know anything about the Tropicana, Cheese? I mean, you probably stopped there once or twice.
Oh, yeah. Well, I told you before that when I was trying to learn how to deal, and the Tropicana dealer couldn't see the chips unless he held them up to his eyes. Somebody told me the Tropicana was going to be Bally's. Now,
Soon.
Bally's is going to be the Horseshoe, and the Mirage is going to be the Hard Rock.
Yes.
That's correct, Cheese. That's correct. We mentioned that in our show. You saw me strumming the guitar last week. That was a prelude to things to come for the Mirage.
Yes. Well, the Tropicana started out with Ben Jaffe. He came out in 1955 and bought 40 acres. Do you know where?
Las Vegas Boulevard, but not the Tropicana back then. It was called Bond Road.
Bond Road. Yeah, it's before the
bar
Tropicana.
called Bond Air.
Yeah, that was the bar right down the street, which we used to hang out at after work.
They had a picture of patent pending up there.
No, they had a dollar bill somewhere up there.
Oh, my goodness. A few dollar bills.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was called Bond Road.
Yeah, Bond Road is where that was. They had a fountain out front. It was 30 feet tall. Had a big, like water, like a little swimming pool around it. And that's when I first started there. I remember the low blue ceilings when you went to work and everything. It took nearly 3 weeks to tear that fountain down when they decided to upgrade all the front entrance and everything. They had that big old ball running into it. That's how well built that thing was. It was very well built. But, go ahead.
When I'd go into the Tropicana with my dad, I think I was like 9 or 10, we went in there, and I remember the blue. The atmosphere was so beautiful. And I believe that when Jaffe wanted to create a Cuban ambiance in the beginning,
Yes.
and I mean, the decor was fantastic. He had 4 different types of rooms. There was French Provincial, there was 3 or 4 others, Italian Renaissance, Polynesian, and this was all incorporated. And of course, the pool had piped-in music back then, in the early days, before 1960. That's incredible.
That is incredible. It's crazy how that all came about. But he did. I mean, he was another one that had a dream that wanted to do all this. But, he just had some sticky fingers, kept getting in there and everything. Well, he opened with the Follies Bergère. And Eddie Fisher, he was a headliner there, along with Carol Channing. She was there for 1957 when they first opened.
That's right. That's right.
So that was pretty good. Follies Bergère. He had 3 or 4 headliners for the Follies. Felicia Atkins, she
Yes.
was one of them that I remember real well.
She was like the premier one. I think they elevated her status when they first started to, the Follies Bergère started to gain audiences and reputation, and Felicia Atkins was like, one of the main ones that was.
Sure. Marilyn Johnson, she was
Johnson.
another one that was there, that was like a headliner. And these girls when you seen them, they all looked like they were 7 foot tall with their headdresses. They had them big giant headdresses. I don't know if you guys remember them, but they walk around. They were just you couldn't miss them. You know, the headdresses had to weigh 40 pounds each.
Oh, at least,
Things were
at
huge.
least.
They were just, it was crazy. It was crazy how they did. But when they all walked around and everything, they made an entrance, that's for sure.
Oh,
with
they
all
were
the
definitely
guys.
goddesses, man.
Yes, they were.
They were goddesses.
I remember when I moved here in 1976 for the first time. There was a bar called Dirty Sally's,
Oh, sure.
and you go dancing there, and I'm barely 5'8" on a good day, and I'm in Dirty Sally's, and there's a girl sitting down, and I asked her if she wanted to dance. She said, "Sure, but I have to let you know I'm a showgirl." I said, oh, "Okay." I didn't understand what she was talking about, and when she stood up, she was 6'1".
A tall girl.
Yeah, it was the long and the short of the dance. It was-
Jeez. Did you ever see eye to eye with her?
No,
That's why it didn't last.
That's why it didn't last. That's true.
it was
That
fun
was
while
where
it lasted.
the Desert Inn was, Dirty Sally's.
Well, before it was Dirty Sally's, does anyone remember what it was? Because I lived there. Pussycat A Go
Pussycat A
Go
Go-Go,
opened in
that's right.
1964.
My
That's
God.
absolutely right.
Yeah, they had
Absolutely
uh,
right.
they had two 21 tables. They had the girls in the background, along with the dance floor and a stage for live music. And the girls had the tassels, and of course, you know, they twirled the tassels around. And later on, they got busted by the Gaming Control Board because they were dealing seconds on their blackjack games.
Wow.
That's when they.
Yeah,
That's
when you were at the Tropicana, did they have the bust with the hot bets, or was that another casino?
No, they didn't have that when I was there.
Because if you look,
You mean
for anybody
with
out
the
there
oh, you mean with the pattern of the hop bets on them?
where
No, they
the
didn't
crew
have
got
that.
fired?
Oh, the whole crew got fired.
Yeah,
The whole crew, but see, we didn't have the circles that had the
right,
hot bets on them.
right. That's what I wanted to explain.
just a
When
layout.
you look at the crab table now, there's circles that have
Yes,
different
there's circles
combinations
and
of
all
the
that.
dice.
Saying
So
what
a
the hot bet.
hot bet, basically, you could throw money out and say, "Give me 6-4 on the hop." Well, if 6-4 comes at roll, you get 15-1, or 55 on the hop. If it comes at roll, you get 30-1. Well, back then they didn't have the numbers on the layout,
Right.
so us three guys would be on the crew. We'd have our landlord come in and play. He would throw chips out in the middle. Our boss or boxman would be in on it, and whatever number rolled is what that guy said. So we would pay him and then split the money later. Well, this went on for a while, and then people got wind of it, and the whole crew got fired.
Yeah. Well, I never did do that. I got off the crew that was doing that. In fact, I didn't like how they were operating with that. You know, it just there's other ways of making money than cheat. I just never did do that. Never cared to do that.
Especially with the people that owned the casinos back then, you didn't want to cheat them.
No, they let you know up front when they hired you. Whatever you do, don't steal from me, kid. You understand? Yes, sir. You know, that's one thing I never did get into. I did see quite a few dealers that did get into that, fall into that trap. And I remember one crew that got all taken out in handcuffs, every one of them. Licenses all taken from them. They forget about gambling or casinos again. They were out. So, and then, you know, they were going to get prosecuted on top of it. So that wasn't a good idea to do that.
They threw the book at them back then.
Yeah. But they were lucky. That's all they got thrown at them was the book.
Because there was all kinds of scams.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, even if a floorman, how about when one of the popular ones was a guy said, "Give me a marker for 5,000," and he'd make out the marker for 500, and they do that on a busy game. And you know, back then the dealers didn't sign it; it was just the boxman and the floorman.
Boxman,
So
floorman.
we didn't sign it back then.
There was a situation that happened on a bigger scale. It was at Caesars. The guy got fired, but he had an outside guy take a marker for 20,000. The guy would play a little bit. If he won, he would stay. If he started losing, he would leave. And maybe a couple hours later, the floorman went to the pit clerk and said, "Give me the marker on that table for the 20,000." Well, the pit clerk is a young girl. She doesn't know what's going on, so she gives him the marker. He went over and he forged the boxman's signature that it was paid back. And then he told the boxman he needed to sit down. His back was hurting him. When he sat down, he dropped the slip into the slot in the box. So as far as the cage and the casino was concerned, that $20,000 was paid back. So it didn't cause any suspicion at all. And it went on until this foreman started buying a lot of things, like a new Harley Davidson, a new truck, started doing a lot of things to his house. And I believe the story is the IRS or somebody got wind of it and got a hold of Caesars and asked how much they paid this guy, because he was buying a lot of stuff and he was very open about it. And then they started watching him, and that's when they saw the scam, and he was no longer working. But it's a good thing the mob wasn't running things back then, because he would have never made it out of town.
Made it out the door. I remember being on the table at the Trop one day, and I had all of a sudden we had a dead game. All of a sudden I had about 15 guys, big guys, all come up, all bought in for $100. And they sat there and started playing. The box man got up, left, and the whole game took off after him. And he was swinging with chips. He had them in his mouth. He had them in his pockets. He was spitting them out, throwing them. Well, they caught him. But that's an eye-opener when them guys can come in, swoop down, and get you. He was running. They caught him. Got him. He was squealing like a little pig. But he's there again, lucky at the gaming board caught him, and not the original owners.
The casino's version of Goodbye, Mr. Chips.
This is Bella.
What's his name?
Bella, it's a she.
Oh, she.
Oh, Bella. Hi, Bella.
Bella.
Hi.
Oh, cute dog.
She's not in heat, is she, Cheese?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, not yet. Okay, Cheese. We'll save that one for another episode. Oh, doggone it.
Doggone.
But, at Caesars, and I'm sure at the Tropicana, that's when they used to use them buttons. Like the guy would say, give me 10,000. And they already knew that he was going to, maybe he said he had 500,000 available. Give me 10, give me 20, give me 30. Then he starts going, let me pay back 20. That's what they used to do. But you could do things with them buttons because the game was moving so fast. We didn't have to worry about, as the dealers today, we have to stop the game. We got to count the money. We got to drop the money. The game does not move like it was intended to, which is a big shame. I'm sure you all agree. You've seen it, in places where the dealer has to do everything and he's got to stop, and people got to stop their roll, which is very aggravating. The game is designed to move at a brisk pace. It always has been, and it should continue that way. But in some places, that's not the case. They make the dealers do everything, and to me, the customer doesn't get the full satisfying experience of a fast dice game, which is how it was always intended.
Well, I think when they got rid of the box man, they got rid of a lot of security that was watching the game itself. Now you got a floor man that stands there. When he walks away, you got 3 dealers sitting there dealing. Stuff can happen, but I know they have cameras everywhere. But it's keeping them people upstairs hopping all the time, I'm sure. But, it's that they're doing good with it, I guess. That's I remember when they got rid of all the boxmen. The boxman's the one that sits in the middle of the game and watches all the dealers and the players itself, too.
I can tell you the year they got rid of the boxman at Caesars in 1984. 84 is when it all changed.
And the sad part is the boxman watched the game, but back in the day when the mob was here, they would have places that had double box. They had 2 guys sitting, 1 guy watching each end, which is overkill. But the position was pretty much created for a retired or semi-retired crab dealer that might have been 65, like me, or 70, and needed a place to go or pick up a couple bucks. But they would have him sit down just out of respect to that man for all the years he put in the business. Now they're when you get a certain age, they just, have a nice life. Thanks for giving all your time.
Wow.
But the mob had a little respect for the old timers and the people that served the time in the business.
Well, you look after you did 20 years out there at some of these hotels, you got a gold watch, or you got a nice diamond ring or something that had the emblem on it. Now, you don't even get a handshake. It's just, okay, have a good life.
Not even a free turkey.
You know, yeah, we used to get free turkeys and wine for Thanksgiving.
Now
You know,
I feel like one.
Even for Christmas, Christmas they give you wine and a frozen turkey out back. The kids used to come in and pick up a toy that they had for the kids and everything. It was totally different now. Now it's you're lucky if you get a meal.
We had a Christmas party at Caesars. Willie Nelson was the entertainment, and it was just unbelievable. I mean, here I was, maybe 29 years old, only been dealing a few years, and I'm at this beautiful party in one of the showrooms at Caesar's Palace, and Willie Nelson's up on stage singing, and it was just, it was a time that I don't think it'll ever be duplicated.
No, those were definitely the best times of my life, getting to go through all that. I'm sure glad I got to. It's made a lot of us happier, as you well know. I mean, when we run into each other like that as older guys, we can all relate. So it's like old family,
Right.
It's just like a family. Now it's a little different trying to get into that younger generation type because we just don't fit in. Well, we do, but we don't fit in like we used to.
We're dinosaurs.
Well, the thing is, too, you got to remember, guys, back then, the population of the town was under 300,000 people.
Yes.
So you knew a lot more people. Now there's just so many people from all parts of the world that work here. It's not the same thing.
No, it's definitely not the same. That's for sure.
No, and it used to, when you told people that, like patent pending I'm a crap dealer at Tropicana. I mean, people's eyes would light up because they found that exciting. Wow, a crap dealer, an unusual profession. I mean, when the Cheese and I would say we're crap dealers at Caesar, oh my God, first thing is, who have you dealt to? Who do you know? Well, I'm an acquaintance of Richard Pryor and Burt Reynolds and Tom Selleck, and how far do you want me to go?
Yeah, that's right.
Nancy Sinatra, them boots were made for walking.
Well, he's got a funny thing about the shoe, too.
The shoe, yes, from Maxwell Smart, Get Smart. When he was playing one day.
Adams.
Huh?
Mr. Adams.
Mr. Adams. He was playing on my game, and he was a little toasty, but he was still in his faculties. And he kept I kept encouraging him. I was on a stick, and I encouraged him to put all his loose change on the hard six. And it was nickels and quarters, and I mean, it was stacked so high, I was worried that the FAA might be calling because obstruction of an airplane landing. But anyway, it was as tall as this microphone that's in front of me. And he throws in one more quarter, and he says, Danny, do you really think the hard six is going to hit? And, of course, Mike Whitwick, I said, why don't you call Agent 99? And he looks at me, and he stops. There's people all around the game, maybe 50 deep. And he takes his shoe off, and he simulates that he's talking to Agent 99, who was Barbara Feldon, by the way. And he says, Agent 99, I'm doing some undercover work here at Caesars, and I want to know if I should put some more money on the hard six. The stick man says it's overdue to hit. What do you think? And he shakes his head, and he puts the shoe on the table. And he throws in, I don't know, $15 more. And I'm telling you, it's this high. Couldn't have been more than $200-300. And he's the next roll. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Hard six. He throws the shoe up in the air. It hits somebody in the audience. They fall on the ground. The crowd goes wild. And I called the hard six, and the place is pandemonium. But that was just one episode of the life of a Caesar's Palace crap dealer.
Absolutely.
Jimmy has a bunch of those, and it's unbelievable. I'm sure, Jimmy, can you relate to a quick story of someone?
Well, when you said the shoe, it reminded me of the silver slipper. I don't know if you told the story about Howard Hughes when he had the Desert Inn. Back in those days, there were no high rises. All the hotels were maybe a two-story motel with the pool was in the middle and the motel was surrounded around it, and then there would be a casino in the front office. And he had the second floor of the Desert Inn where he lived, and right out the window across the street was the Silver Slipper, which was a hotel where I met my wife in 1982. And the Slipper would rotate, but he was so paranoid that he thought there was a camera inside the Slipper spying on his room. But plus the light from the Slipper was keeping him up at night. So he tried to get him to turn it off, and he finally bought the Silver Slipper. And at 10 o'clock at night, the Slipper was shut down. The lights were shut down. So you had this casino on the Strip. There were no lights out front after 10 o'clock at night. It was open, but no lights, so Mr. Hughes could get some sleep.
He was giving somebody the slip.
Yeah, he sure was. Yeah, even the Slipper, that had some good venues there.
We'll have to-
Boxing.
The cheese remembers that. And how about this one? My mom thinks I'm a cop in L.A. Well, who am I talking about, Cheese?
Guys, Kenny Kerr.
Kenny Kerr, very good, Cheese. And this is Boylesque.
Yeah, Boylesque was there.
I dealt to him. He's a very nice guy. After he got done, he opened his purse and took out $50 and gave us a tip.
Ah,
Took out his purse.
Yes.
Do you have lipstick in there too?
I don't know.
usually a little powder puff thing, you know.
Yeah.
Just a little on the face and here and there. Yeah, Cheese. I used to hang out at the Silver Slipper in the early days because, like Pat and Pending said, they had the boxing matches. The atmosphere was really alive. The people were friendly. Maybe go shoot a little craps. I went to a boxing match with Blinky one time. And that was an experience in itself. Blinky, who was Chris Apostolic, but they called him Blinky.
I don't think I knew him.
Do you remember when they had Jerry McGarry and what was
Dinkler.
and then they had Blinky. So it was, and then Jerry. Well, there was a reason why they call him that. So it was Stinky, Dinky, and Blinky, and I don't even know who the fourth was. And that was the crew. But it just shows you the nicknames of different guys. Like Rabbit or the Cheese and Pat and Pending. I'm sure you had a nickname.
Sure.
What was it?
The General.
The General. That's right. We don't mean insurance either.
Yeah, there was everybody had a nickname back there. I mean, you had to earn the nickname.
Yeah.
But once you got to call everybody their nicknames, that was their name. You didn't know them by their real name.
No. Like the Cheese. We used to work with Lee the Flea.
Yeah.
You remember
Love
Lee
Lee
the
the
Flea?
Flea.
It was all them.
Lee the Flea.
Yeah. I mean, they just there was so many out there. Like I said, you didn't even know their real names after a while.
Vince Napolitani. I can't even tell his last name. He's rest in peace. He died a year or two ago. He was known as the Weeper because when he missed a bet, he actually would start crying. Oh my God, I can't believe.
You remember Jerry Modulin's nickname?
What was Jerry's nickname?
The Geek.
The
He
Geek.
called him the Geek, and I couldn't. He was the nicest guy and one of the fastest dealers I've ever seen. But I asked one of the other guys, well, why did they call him that? Well, the tip of his finger was missing.
Yeah.
And he was still a great dealer.
Yes.
Well, I says, well, what? So why would he call him that? He said he reached underneath his lawnmower, and his finger got cut off. He's a geek.
He's a geek. Oh, well, I could see that happening when you get too close to your lawnmower and the blades do a little number on you. Yeah, the Geek. I didn't know that.
Anyhow, just for real quick reference for Jake and Sarah, when the dice is cold, stay away from the game. Walk away. Don't stay there and just keep throwing your money in. Walk away. Even though we're telling you, walk away. Walk away. Then you can come back. Don't sit there and just throw it in there. That happens quite often.
I dealt to a guy this morning. He went through $6,000, and
Jason.
he never caught a number. It was 7 out, 7 out, 7. He kept pulling out more money. I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't entertaining. I don't know what you're gonna. The dice just aren't. It's not happening.
We tell these players, listen, we're like the weatherman. It's cold and windy and frosty out there. Wait till the sun starts to shine and the birds start singing. Well, when will that be? When you see how happy I look.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, next week we'll try and work on the Tropicana a little bit.
Oh, Mitzi Bragg
Yeah,
Staffer. We'll
Mitzi
talk about,
Braggs
and
and
don't
all them.
forget Nick Savella,
Nick
the Kansas
Savella.
City mob boss, all tied
Joe
in
Augusto,
to the
all of it,
Tropicana.
yes.
Joey Gusto, the creator and operator of the casino.
The Folies
Bergère. Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
And so many others, a cast of characters, too numerous to mention with 2 minutes to go.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have so much involved. We can get wrapped up into talking about certain things. You know, you forget the subject you're on because we're getting into other things. That's just how life is.
That is. Just like a crap dealer. You have to key on 10 people all talking at once. They all want something different. And it's amazing if you're a great dealer like the Cheese and Patent Pending and maybe me, 10 different conversations and you're keying on every one of them. You want to do what? You want this where? Oh, come here, 50. You do it. And people are amazed. They'll tell you, how do you do this? How do you do this? Can't understand it.
And if there's any producers out
Excuse
there
me.
looking, you need to come look us up because we've got the stories. Believe me, we can sit down and talk.
Yes.
All of us. So,
Yes, and the Cheese would be perfect. I mean, look, a leading man right there. There he is. He's got all that beautiful hair. You know, me, I would be more like a college professor.
Yeah, so I just want to thank everybody for listening today. We've had a lot of fun. Even look at Jimmy out there. He, man, what a life! What a life!
Look
you
at all
lead,
the
buddy.
vitamin D he just got in the
Yes.
last 40 minutes. Oh my God, that's oh.
And the way you keep awake in this business is caffeine and nicotine. You're about all set.
There you go.
Geez,
Sounds
oh,
good.
that's unbelievable. I'll make sure I tell my doctor when I get my next checkup.
Absolutely.
And our condolences, our happiness to John Stiles, who's here.
Our producer and
producer.
creator of so many shows. I mean, anybody, come on, HBO, you out there? John Stiles.
John
He's your
Stiles,
man.
look him up.
You know.
Absolutely.
What's the other one? Netflix. He's got a lot rolling in his head. We could come up with some stuff.
Absolutely. Jimmy
Yes.
Kimball, if you're listening.
JK, I still got those gifts for you when you got time. I know you're probably a busy man, obviously, but when you got time,
Yes.
come on, we're Caesars guys and Tropicana.
And Jimmy, this worked out good. We got to
Good.
got to see you a little bit. You know, it's.
I couldn't change the flight path behind me, but there were a few planes during this.
Well,
but,
I wasn't sure that was a plane or not. Looked like it was landing on your head, though.
As long as
It was a fly.
That fly.
as long as nobody parachutes in his backyard and lands on the
Yes.
cheese.
So that would make a heck of a show.
Oh my God! Like Knots Landing.
Yes.
Well, Cheese, enjoy the other side of the world. All right.
Thank you,
All right,
everybody,
buddy.
for listening and watching, and tune in next week.
Please do.
Please.
Please do. We like we said, we don't want to start a cooking show.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
All right,
you.
love-
Bye,
bye.
Cheese.
Bye.
Hasta la
Bye.
pasta.
Thank you.